What's up, everybody? I just wanted to get on here. I'm back again, as I always say. I just wanted to get on here and make this video. I'm gonna be kind of brief. I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible. I know, let me just start by saying I hope you all have been doing well and taking care of yourself, drinking your water, watering your insides, as I say, getting your food, getting enough food and nutrients for your body, taking care of your spiritual, emotional, and mental well being. Oh, sorry guys, I pulled that in and moved my camera. Um, I wanted to come on here because there has been a lot of talk lately about a few things. The first one I was about divorce, and I shared a brief little video regarding that, and then the next topic that came up was this domestic violence. Um, and so I just wanted to jump in because I seen that it seemed like a lot of men, like right out the door, there were a lot of men that were jumping on and talking about domestic violence and all of the things. And so I just wanted to jump on as someone who, as a woman, and as someone who has experienced domestic violence. And I just want to jump on and give my little spiel on it. And you'll see me going back and forth because I'm reading from my phone. I often write down notes and take notes because I cannot remember all of the things. So, I just want to say for me that I believe that honestly, and I know there's a lot of talk about, women need to, they need to get out, they need to do all of this stuff and whatnot. But I believe that domestic violence, most people will say domestic violence and I used to say this, domestic violence starts with someone calling you out of your name. It doesn't always start with physical abuse. It starts with mental, emotional, verbal abuse. But that's not the case. I think that it really starts with your mindset. And I believe that a lot of men, it's the mindset of patriarchy and misogyny. Um, and that a lot of men were raised with this. I know, people, and especially women, and I've done this before, I've caught myself. We use these, I call them flare up words, narcissism, and different things to talk about men and their toxic behaviors towards us or whatnot. But I think that a lot of times that um, the abuse starts with the mindset, and it can be toxic generational mindsets, toxic generational behaviors, um, and beliefs about women. So I believe that it starts there, um, and that's the root of an abusive man. It's in how he views and what he believes about women. And if he's been taught that, or if he's picked up any of that along his life's journey, um, then that's what he's going to bring to the table in a relationship. Um, I also wanted to talk a little bit about being territorial versus possessive. Um, I know a lot of people in relationships, and I've heard this plenty of times, where people will be like, "Well, I'm just," because they would get called out for acting, jealous or whatnot, and they would say their response will be, "Well, I'm not jealous, I'm territorial." And I just want to clear something up about that because that could be a form of abuse, and you have to be careful. There is a difference between territorial versus possessive. Being territorial means almost like protective over the relationship. You're protecting the relationship, you're protecting um, the person. Being possessive is I own you, I control you, those types of things. Um, Again, I want to reiterate what I just said, that domestic violence, I believe, starts with the mindset. Um, I just a little bit about my personal testimony, and I'm not going to go into great detail about what happened, but I was in a few abusive relationships, and um, just speaking from a woman's perspective, really brief. I'm not going to get into the details about what exactly happened. In those that are close to me know what happened, and it didn't end well for me. Let me just say that it didn't end well for me. I was naive to some extent, and for me, I don't believe. I know a lot of people say it was love. I don't believe that it was necessarily love. I believe that I loved the person and the people, but it was also my need for someone to want me. Excuse me, y'all. I gotta wipe my nose. It was my need for someone to want me. Um, I didn't want to leave because I felt like my need for that person that I was in the relationship was greater than my own personal safety. And I think a lot of times that that is one of the reasons why women will stay. A lot of it is, their protect it's pride. It's all necessary. Some of it is rooted in pride. um, and we have to be mindful that when someone is showing the signs, that we pay attention to the signs of abuse before it even gets physical, you know before it gets to a place where we're fearing for our lives, are not able to leave safely from that relationship, because I believe that everybody should be able to leave safely from a relationship if they choose to. If they choose to no longer go on and be with that person, they should be able to leave safely from that relationship without having to look over their shoulders or worry about somebody snapping off or going off or whatnot. Um, and it's just so unfortunate that so many women in this world, and let's just keep it above domestic violence, this is not something that is new. This has been going on, and so women and some men have been getting killed by their partners or by people that they're with. This is just, I don't know why it's bubbling up now, but this has been going on. This has been going on. I just want to give some red flags that I, now being in a place where I'm at now, that looking hindsight, that I should have really paid attention to. One of those is, again, I'm going to reiterate it because I really want you guys to understand. Pay attention to a person's mindset and how they think about women. How do they treat the women in their life that they were with? Were there were they ever in any other abusive relationships? Um, and I know for me, um, this was, when I was younger and we were young, and all the things, but you know, there were little subtle signs. There were little subtle signs. Pay attention to how they were raised, and that's, how they were raised, what mindsets. If they're on that red pill type of mindset and things of that nature, you might want to go away from them. No, go away from them, because they are the ones who have that patriarchy, misogyny, and they don't see women as, they often don't see them as equal. They see them as subservient. Um, and so you really want to pay attention to that. Pay attention also to how that person behaves when they're angry. Um, are they overly emotional? Are they reactive instead of responsive? Do they react on impulse? Are they acting crazy? If they're doing any of that stuff, it's not cute. And I know a lot of young people will, they will sit up there, oh, he's just, no, that stuff is not cute. You should not give those things a pass. You should not overlook when someone is behaving erratically, like especially when they're angry, because that is who they are. And so when they get angry with you, they're going to behave in that way. Um, Another red flag is name calling. I know that, in the beginning I was saying like that's not where the root of abuse starts. It starts with the mindset. But if someone is calling you out of your name, calling you out of your name, that is a huge red flag, um, because that is the segue to them beginning to put their hands on you. Um, Another one is pay attention to how they react to others and you when they're angry. I think I said that before, but pay attention to just how they behave in general when they're angry about something, when they're angry at you, when they're angry at other people, because a lot of times that's who they are, that's how they're going to behave when they are angry. Um, Let me think of some other things that red flags that I missed. The being being possessive again, like somebody that thinks that they can control you. They want to control how you move, what you do. Are they trying to change you? Are they trying to separate you from your family? And friends that you had before they even came in the picture. Those are things that really you need to pay attention to. Are they overly possessive? Are they trying to change you? You, not how you look and all that other stuff. Those are that is part of it, but it's not only that. It's are they trying to change you? Um, yeah. So those are some of the things that I would um, advise people to be on the lookout for in relationships. Um, Another one is, not this is not a red flag. This is just me saying this. Stop laughing it off and take it seriously the first time, because I believe, like, with me, I didn't take it seriously. I was so unserious about it. I was so unserious about it. And in every situation, I could have lost my life. They could have lost their life. It just was not a good situation to be in when you start feeling like you got to. Do all of that and put your hands on somebody and calling people out of their name, and or you feel like you have to be controlling someone and all of that stuff. It is time, maybe it's time to either give that, if they're hitting you, it's time to leave. If they're hitting you and calling you out of your name, it's time to leave. But if they are, if there are other like subtle signs, maybe it's time to slow the train down on that relationship, give it a rest or take a breather, or just even walk away sometimes, because there is nothing worth losing your life over, nothing like that, over a relationship or over a person who just doesn't have their stuff together, period. Um, and another thing, don't allow anybody to coerce you to stay in an abusive relationship or marriage. If a man is abusive, he has violated the marriage covenant, in my opinion, because even in biblical, I know sometimes people will try to say that the only way you could get a divorce is if the person cheated on you. But if the person is beating you, there is scripture that tells us that a man is supposed to treat the husband is supposed to treat his wife and love his wife as God loved the church. I don't think that God is beating on any of us, beating us up and beating us down and all of the things. So yeah, that's one of the, I would say, one of the reasons to um, part from that relationship or that marriage. Um, and there are ways to safely leave, and a couple of those things is to be discreet. Don't go over there and announce to someone who you know is abusive, who you know is a toxic ticking time bomb. Don't go over there and announce that you're going to leave them. Leave subtly, leave discreetly. Um, and I'm not saying you got to be all secretive about it, but from that person, you want to slowly start leaving, slowly leaving, and carefully, because you people like that, they don't have a, I want to say filter, but they don't have, they don't care. So, at that point, you telling them that you're going to leave them is going to do nothing but trigger them, and they're going to act a fool. So the safest way to leave is to start leaving subtly. Start planning your exit strategy, planning a safe exit strategy, making your loved ones and those that care about you aware, and making sure that they don't share the information about where you're going with the person or what you're doing with that person. Sometimes it may mean changing addresses. And I know that for some that is easy, it's easier said than done. But if you can do it safely, move somewhere, move away, get rent a one bedroom, or stay with some. I know a lot of people don't like to get involved in domestic violence because a lot of times the people are not serious, until something serious happens. And by that time, it's too late, and you done involve family members and got family members or loved ones or friends involved, and they done got hurt or something like that crazy. So the main thing is to plan an exit strategy, whatever that looks like, a safe exit strategy for yourself. Um, Stop having contact with that person. Once you have physically removed yourself and you found a way to physically remove yourself from that person, disconnect. My mom would always say that you have to do a clean break with someone. And if you're going to break up, that means no contact. That means going no contact with that person. Because let's just be honest, if that person, people who hit on people and abuse people, they don't care about you. They don't care about your life. They don't care. They don't care about your life. They don't care about you. They don't love you. That's not love. That's not even a nothing near what love is. So the thing about it is, why do you want to stay connected to them in any way? Disconnect. If you have to change your phone number, if you have to change your address, if I know you can't change jobs and all of that, those things, but just be aware. And there are different things that you can do if you have been in a domestic situation or anything like that on the job, where they will, where you let your job know. And I know at my jobs that I've had, they have where you can let them know if you're in a domestic type of situation. You can get the security to help you move, to get you out to your car, and walk you out to your car, or different other things. So I would definitely advise you to take that as an option. Um, and just be wise about it. Be wise about how you're moving. If you guys have friends, mutual friends, and stuff like that, you want to tell your mutual friends to not tell that person where you are, or to give that person your contact information, and disconnect from them. Again, disconnect. Change your number. I know a lot of times people will say block, but I've had to change my number from foolishness. So, because the block, it just people will find other ways to reach out to you. So sometimes, in order for you to keep your peace and to keep yourself safe, you have to change your number. Um, disconnect, unfollow from on social media, and all of the things. And yes, it does have to be drastic, especially when your life is at risk. Because as we've seen, there are so many Black women that have been murdered by their so-called husbands, or whatever. And it's just crazy. Like, how, I don't understand. And I'm not saying I don't know the situation or whatever, but I'm just going to speak my truth. I don't understand how you could say you want a divorce from someone and still live in the same house like that. And there was probably, that man probably was, I don't know if he was abusive to her or not, let me not say that. But if you're going to separate, like I said, you need to just do it in a clean break. If you're going to divorce, before you even get the divorce, like, you should be having some sort of there needs to be a separation where you have lived separately, where you have moved out. Because even most courts, like, I know when I went and filed for my divorce, I we had to live separately for 6 months before they would even look at my case. So that is one thing. Like, you have to, I feel like you need to be separated before you file for divorce. Separated and safe. Okay, separated and safe. If you do have children, if you do share children, you want to keep the children safe. Um, and you could do that. You don't have to be, I mean, there's ways for visitation and co-parenting, and maybe not co-parenting right off the bat, but there's ways for visitations to take place without you having contact with that person. And if that person is violent and all of the things toward you, might have to get the courts involved because, most of the time they'll be violent and do violent things towards the kids to get to you. So you just want to make sure that your children, if there's children involved, that the children are safe, 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 safe in all things. Um, and that is basically what I wanted to talk about. I want to give out the number. There is a hotline if you are involved in any type of domestic violent situation, domestic abuse of any kind. There is a hotline number. Let me pull that up really quick. Let's see here. And it is a national domestic hotline or domestic violence hotline. And that number is 1-800-799-7233. And basically, that's their phone number. And also, you can just go to Google and you can type in domestic violence, and that information will pop up for you. I believe in different states and in your city, they should have different domestic violence resources, domestic abuse resources that you could use. You want to look, Google on your city website and see if there's anything about domestic violence resources that you can utilize to help you to stay safe, you and your family, because that at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And let me just say this too: there's not only women that get abused. It's men too. It's men that get abused. Um, I see, we see all the videos and stuff like that of women acting crazy, acting a fool. Let me just say that with some of these men and just losing their mind. Um, and same goes for men. Was not just a video about women getting abused. It's about men too. Keep your children safe. Keep yourself safe, because men do get killed and murdered by their partners and wives and different things. So keep yourself safe and keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself at the end of the day. Okay, and let everybody live. Live and let live. Period. You ain't got no business to be taking nobody's life. Okay. Just wanted to say that. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope and pray that everybody will continue to take care of themselves and be the best versions of yourself that God created you to be. Peace.